Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the last Callout podcast, which incidentally enough, this is our inaugural co-host episode. I appreciate everybody's patience as we work through what all new podcasts work through, the growing pains, they say. And I appreciate your patience and grace in understanding the fact that my co-host, Zaeem, who is an IFBB Classic Pro, won his pro card at the Universe, look at it through this lens. This is the first time he and I have connected in 10 years since we competed at the Florida State Champs in 2016. So we just jump right into it. We've got a lot of catching up to do. So you're seeing a very organic conversation. And we're going to do our best to keep these conversations organic, just like real people. So if you find any value in this at all, like, subscribe, share it, ring the bell, write comments in the comment section. We'll respond to them. We're grateful for anything and everything that you can do to contribute to us to make us better, even the bad stuff, quite frankly, because I always have the option of having no opinion or nothing to say there. So without further ado, we're jumping right into it. Welcome to the Last Call Out podcast. It's funny talking about the gym. We get people that, so like same thing with me. So like it was funny. I was gonna get on here and be like, dude, we're fucking old now.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years since we've seen each other in person.
Yeah.
I was at the 2016 Florida State Champs. I think I was 27 or 28. I can't remember exactly.
I had just turned 30.
Right. And I remember then thinking like, oh, I'll just wait until I'm a master I'm 35 and I'll compete in masters and I'll win my pro card. Like I was like counting the days like to being almost there.
Yeah.
Then it didn't matter. Then I turned 35. Now fast forward to what you were talking about, like going in the gym, and I get these kids coming up, and it's all one-dimensional stuff, like gear, food. Had a kid come up to me. This has been like 3 months ago. Completely fat-bodied, telling me about how he's been on a cycle, like he's like presently on a cycle, fat-bodied, but he wants to bulk. He's like, I'm ready to start a bulk in a big cycle. He's like, bro, I'm ready to start a big cycle, and he wants me to help him. And I just, in the nicest way possible, said, brother, the first thing we got to do is we got to get you sensitive to food.
Yeah.
Forget everything else.
Well, and you know, like in my experience, when I've run into those kind of individuals, and I've run into plenty, they're coming to only hear one thing, which is the gear. And for some reason, over the last 10 years, where you and I weren't, we hadn't reconnected, this weird thing has happened in the industry that like wasn't present when I first started, which is like, and it's because of social media, it's because of YouTube, it's because everyone talks about gear, right? So everybody walks into the gym, and like, you'll have a 16-year-old kid, and his immediate thought the moment he comes in there, especially if he sees somebody like, imagine he sees like an almost 40-year-old guy like me who's big and he wants to be like that. It's like, oh, well, the only path to that is gear, and that's about it, right? Like none of the fundamentals of like training, nutrition, recovery, and they'll come and have a conversation with you, but all they really want to hear is like, well, what are you running and what do I need to be running? And the moment you deviate from that, like I was just working with a kid too who sweet kid, right? But he came up to me, he wanted to be the first thing that started this, which is where I started to kind of like back off for a moment, was he's one of those people who talks to everyone, right? Gets a bunch of different opinions, and then
the peanut gallery. Everybody, they've all got something to say.
Yeah, and then you got all this noise in your head. And the first thing he came up to me and said, he said, well, everyone told me that you have to have a coach, so I want to hire you. I was like, who says you have to have a coach? Like, if you have aspirations to do this either at a higher level, or you're trying to prep for a show, or you really want to learn the fundamentals. But I'm like, theoretically, all this information is available now through YouTube, forums, whatever, Reddit. You can do your own research. I'm not going to be the guy that tells you that, as a 16-year-old kid who does not have a lot of money, you need to pay $300 a month to a coach. You could kind
100%.
You can kind of figure things out on your own. So anyways, he hell bent, worked with him for a little while. And then the first thing that I hear from him is he's like, I'm going to be Mr. Olympia one day.
You are?
Yeah.
Ah,
No, but no, if you and I told him, well, I know how to become a pro. I can maybe get you that far. I don't know how to become a Mr. Olympia,
right.
but you know, then I start seeing the work ethic, and I slowly realized the only thing this kid came to me for is he wants to learn how to run a cycle. And I was very
Yeah.
adamant. I was like, we're not doing that until
Mhm.
it's required, right? So like, there's a lot of things you need to learn, dude. Like you don't even have 10 solid pounds of muscle on you. Like, what are we
Right.
trying to accomplish here, right? So like, let's set a trajectory and like go about it the smartest way, knowing that you got plenty of time. You're a young guy. You don't want to spend and so what's probably going to happen to him, and what I found out was, you know, the buzzwords, right? Trend and all
Yep.
these things that like, can you imagine you don't even know yourself from an emotional and mental standpoint?
Right. Your headspace.
And like, one of the things that no one talks about when it comes to gear is like the mental aspect. I feel like
Right.
people really don't talk about it. Like it.
Well, set aside the fact that it it's kind of inherent within what we do that we may be I'm always intentional with my words.
Mhm.
We may be growth-minded people. We may be highly intelligent and intellectual and very articulate and well diversified. So all the descriptors, we may have all those things, but if we find ourselves falling in love with this niche pageantry of bodybuilding, we have a body image
Yeah.
issue, right? Like, so it's regardless of what it is, it's subdued. It might be very subdued, but we have an issue with our image. Add to that now, like you just mentioned, a kid that wants to get on hormones
Mhm.
and alter that.
Yeah.
And they don't even know who they are yet.
Right, and they don't realize, like, you know, there's, like, long-lasting implications to this,
Right.
right? So, like, you know, you need to really have a conversation with yourself, and that's and the number one problem is one, you know, 16, 18, 21, whatever, the you know, when you're that young, you kinda just don't care. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
didn't I wasn't around gear at those ages at all, and it wasn't something that was even on my radar, but even when I
right,
was young, I kinda didn't care, like, I just wanted to go into the gym, sling heavy weights, I wasn't worried about mobility, you know, all these things that as you get older, you realize are pretty important, like, fundamental to prolong whatever you're doing here.
right.
You're young, you're like, "I just wanna go into the gym, I wanna smash some stuff," right?
Chris
That's what
Williams says we're Chris Williamson from Modern Wisdom. Have you
Mhm.
watched him a
Yeah,
lot? He
yeah,
interviews Hormozy, all the brightest minds in the world. He talks about how when you're young, you know, you're made of bubble gum and magic. You
yeah,
know, and it's like you think you're invincible,
yeah,
and then you implement you you're not number one, you're not already developed hormonally. So you haven't
and
even reached your peak yet, and you're already wanting to alter that.
yeah, yeah,
It baffles me. I mean, a lot of us did it. I think that my introduction into anabolics was probably when my son was born when I was 19.
mhm,
And I think that I ran my first cycle after I split with his mom, so like 21.
mhm,
But still a kid. Like I hadn't developed a physique that warranted hormone
right,
at all.
right,
And I think my first cycle was sachets of toy lube that I ordered from, you know, somewhere in Turkey. So they sent him over in little sachets of toy lube,
yeah,
and then I ran 50
and the
milligrams of
the ampules?
no, 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 no. So this was
What are they?
like so this is funny. This is funny. So back in the day when Raw Deal went down and they were cutting down, you know, on all the overseas anabolics and anabolics coming internationally, they were really cracking down on getting them here. So a lot of distributors started to like in Mexico, you would order them and they would come like embedded in radios.
Oh,
Like
okay.
and then if you ordered them from Europe,
Yeah.
which is where I ordered from initially, they would come in it would come in a clear sachet
Mhm,
like a ketchup packet,
mhm.
but it was labeled as toy lube.
Okay, just more description of what it was, right, right.
So you had to draw it out of this. And then so I took that, and it was test 500. Oh
Yeah.
my God, talk about PIP.
Yeah.
Because you can't super concentrate that stuff and keep it suspended correctly.
Right.
So I had knots upon knots for months on
Yeah.
end. And what I ended up doing as I was getting more educated into anabolics, I was like, okay, I have to cut this. I've got to cut it with a cottonseed oil, dilute it down,
Yeah.
lower the dosage, whatever. So did that, and then I was taking 50 milligrams of D-ball a day
Yeah.
at 21 years old, eating. Now here's where it gets really bad, and then we can caveat, but on top of that, my diet was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So 500 milligrams a test. I'm 21 years old, don't have any muscle, so to speak of. 50 milligrams of D-ball, and I was eating every piece of garbage food under the sun. I was going to McDonald's and getting 3 double cheeseburgers, 3 McChickens, 2 large fries, a large Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
And like that was dinner. And I just ballooned up. I just looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of the epitome of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I had a very different, like, even the show that you and I did together.
That was our second show, right? Or was it?
Yeah, that was my second, and I wasn't introduced to any anabolics at all up until that point. I was very much I remember when I was in high school, steroids had such a bad connotation to them that, like, I was like, "Oh, I don't wanna do that," right? Like, I want nothing to do with that. But but I was, like, super into bodybuilding, and it was when I turned 19, I had the opportunity to go to the Arnold Classic, and I didn't like meet him as a person, but like I was in line to meet Ronnie Coleman, and I had a chance to like take a picture with him, get his autograph. And
back when you're 19, that would have been his heyday. That would like right after his
That was like right at his top. I'm 165 pound, like like wet noodle, and I see this guy, and the reality hit me like a pile of bricks, which is, as much as I love bodybuilding, I don't want to look like that.
Right. There's levels to this.
Yeah. And it was just something that I didn't want to look like. I was impressed as hell, but I was like, I don't want to do that. Right. That was not for me. So then I basically went from then until men's physique, classic physique, and everything else that got introduced. It's just like, well,
because that wasn't there when we started.
No, that didn't come about until I was 28. You know what I mean? So like up until that point, I'm like, I'm just going to bodybuild live the lifestyle, but there's really nothing for me to do here. And then the divisions came, and a buddy wanted to there was one show I did before I did the one with you. And that was, I think it was that show that happens every year in Lakeland, Florida. Can't remember the Deb something. It's like a good starter show.
Is it not the Monster?
No, it's that one lady. She's like really ingrained in the NPC.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of it. I'd have to pull the schedule up. But I know which one you're talking about. It's not a big show.
Yeah, so I did that one completely natty, just winged it diet wise. I think I ended up getting second place, and I was pumped because like I could tell
physique, right?
Yeah, men's physique. I could tell the people I went against were like enhanced, and I was like, wow, really, this is incredible. I love this stuff. Then I did the show with you, and I was doing pretty well, just stone cold natty, until I did something in South Florida with the big boys, and I kind of got my ass whooped. And there was a judge who pretty much said like, hey man, you got good potential, you have great shape, but like,
did you go there right after the Florida State champs?
A couple months after, yeah.
Right. I remember you mentioning that because when we were backstage, you mentioned, I've got this show in a few weeks that I'm going to do. And it was a bigger show. I remember you mentioned it was bigger at the time. So you got to hand it to you.
In West Palm. Yep, it was at West Palm. And I remember something that the promoter said to me as I was walking off stage. Like, so, when they're doing the comparison between the top 5 and I'm getting walked off, it goes, oh, my little guys. And I was like, I never want to hear that again, man. That was like the worst thing you could say to me at the time. And I was like, all right, we're gonna kick this up a notch and like really try to, cause I wanted to always, be an IFBB pro.
Yeah.
Granted I ended up doing it in classic physique, but that was kind of the trajectory.
You've got that. That was the funny thing, that talking about the Florida State champs back then. So that's when I realized there were levels to not just bodybuilding as a whole, because like bodybuilding ubiquitously. Like I've always been a bodybuilder. I didn't want to do men's physique. I always wanted to compete. I didn't know if I wanted to win a pro card. I knew I wanted to compete in bodybuilding, to go through the poses. But back in the day when we started, when you and I fell in love with it, you had to earn the right to be on stage.
Big time. Yep.
It wasn't like today, kids can say, "Oh, I'm ready to compete," and then like next week they're doing a show.
Yeah.
Like
Doing
you
a
had
show.
to, right? You had to earn the physique to get there. And now, please don't hear me saying, "Oh, back, old head, back in the day was better." I'm not saying that. Like I think that the industry grows and it's good for the industry. There might have its pitfalls, but yeah.
I got a commentary on that. So do you know what I think it is? And this is my interpretation just based off my living life.
Yeah.
And you had a generation, which was our generation, right? Millennials. And I think
Mm-hmm.
we were raised by parents, or at least I was, who it wasn't a soft parenting style. It wasn't
No.
that, hey, you could go be who you want to be. It's like, hey, you got to earn, like, if you're not getting A's in school, at least my mom, you're a dumbass.
Be good or be gone.
Yeah, be good or don't talk about it. But we're not gonna applaud anything other than excellence.
Right.
Right. And then now, especially I see this in the young generation in the gym, like everybody is seeking some sort of approval. And I get it. Life is hard.
In instant gratification.
They
Right.
just want, like, look at this clip that I posted, right? Like, isn't this an incredible set of hack squats or so on and so forth?
Right.
And sometimes, like, I'll beg to ask the question. I'm like, dude, you're doing 6 plates per side on the hack squats with it banded to all hell, and you got twigs. Like, let's
Right.
let's be intentional with what we're doing here if we want to build legs. Like, you shouldn't just be focusing. You're focusing on the wrong thing. So, the younger generation, and I don't think one generation is better than the other. I think there's just a difference in this in how they view life, right? Like, they require a different level of validation, acceptance, and coddling, if you will.
Right. Well, they sift it through the magic computer in their hand.
Yeah.
Right. So they look at life through, not to sound like we're beating them up, but it's like when you and I started doing it, we didn't have a medium to have access to thousands of people.
Yeah. Pretty much YouTube existed. That was about it.
And social media was in its infancy. Like, I think like when you and I competed, like Instagram was like a new thing.
Yeah. My first Instagram post, I think it's from around like 2015, 2016, right around that time. So,
yeah. But then, but now it's, oh, well, I've got to videotape every set, like not top sets, not working sets, every set.
Oh, do they videotape talking and like trying to look goofy in the middle of? It's like, what are we doing here, right?
Right, and that's so I like, and I think what I'm hearing you say, and like I think we're saying the same thing, is like, I'm just questioning the intention. I'm not questioning the act of it. Like, if I saw a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid in there banging it with great execution, and recording like top sets and like intentionally doing it, I'd be like, okay, cool, rock on, dude.
Okay, so I love that you bring that example up, because just to your point, there's a kid that's in my gym right now. He's 16 years old, natty. One of the strongest dudes I've ever seen, right? Like, I was relatively strong when I was 16 and doing benching and things like that, but this kid blows me out of the water. And he is recording himself, but he should be, because he is someone who, and I don't, like, I'm assuming if you look at C-Bum back in the day, he kind of was probably like this kid that I'm talking about, right? So
like a prodigy, like he was built to kind of do this.
Exactly, right? Like, I've seen other kids in the gym who are running cycles that would rival someone on an Olympia stage who are like struggling with 225. So it's like, where this kid is 16 years old, natural, banging out sets with close to 405 like it's nothing. Wow. And he's lean. He's a lean guy too. So
is he tall or?
I'm about 5'11", so he's like 6'1", 6'2". He's a taller guy.
Oh, he's a big boy.
He's a big boy. Yeah. The only thing, like, I talk to him every now and then. The only thing I would tell him, I was like, dude, you're neglecting your legs. Damn, you'd be a powerhouse if you started hitting those bad boys.
Yeah, well, he's in I think that a lot of us, and so like I have this quote that I like to say: a smart man learns from his own mistakes, a brilliant man learns from the mistakes of others.
Yeah.
Like that kid, I think we all fell into that basket of, we kind of overlooked our legs because it was hard.
It's hard.
Like, it was hard to train them, it was hard to grow them. But it's funny that you say that, because I see some kids that are kind of put together, not like that kid. That kid sounds like a freak.
Yeah.
But they still, like, they need to take the advice. It's like, let's focus on this.
Well, and that's the thing. When I remember distinctly, when I was young, I was looking for the big dudes in the gym. I want to learn everything I can. I don't, just to the point that you literally just made, I was like, my entire goal always is like, I would rather learn from someone else's mistakes and not make
Right.
them. And like,
Yep.
the amount of people I've seen, tear their pecs and do all sorts of things that like, I'm like, okay, we're not going down that avenue. And I've learned from just observing this, and this is not the way.
Yeah. Heavy bench pressing and all that stuff, just
Yeah.
throwing weight
It
around.
saved me a ton of heartache myself, just from like being
Mm-hmm.
in the gym long enough to just kind of see the things not to do. And I think,
Yeah.
and not being, it's kind of like what I was telling you earlier when we were texting. The one crux to me is like, I'm used to doing the hard work. So like every
Mm,
now and then, just, the fact that we're living in a human body and not a machine, things act up, right? So like when I was in the gym yesterday, I'm hitting quads. First top set of leg extensions, I feel my quad tendon on my leg just kind of like feel really wonky. And in the past, I swear to God, I would have just kept going, done that entire workout, and
push
woke
through
up
it.
the next morning. Now I can't train legs for like 3 weeks.
Right.
This
Now,
is the
was that your first work set?
first workout set.
So first exercise, first work set.
Yeah. Yeah. And like at that point, I'm
Ooh.
thinking in my head, I was like, I did a couple of stretches and I was like, ooh, I can just feel it doesn't feel good. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, if leg extensions did this, I can't go do any like heavy squatting
Yeah.
patterns.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Like,
can't get in the hole because
yeah.
whatever that is,
Yeah.
it could just.
And previously in my head, I'm like, oh my God, this sucks. I want to do a pro show later this year. Everything's
Yeah.
falling apart. But for the first time, the fact that I'll be 40 in May, I was like, take a step back, look at the bigger picture. Everything is the fact that you stop means that it feels fine today, right? And
Right.
now I'm giving it a week off, and the next time I hit legs, it'll be perfect, as opposed to having that young man's ego and like lack of the bigger picture, and then you just
Right.
keep making
Foresight,
yeah.
and insight.
Exactly, and I'll be honest with you, like, it doesn't feel good because I'm like, "Damn," because now in my head that I woke up this morning and it feels all right, I'm like, "Damn, could I have
I
kept
could have
going?"
pushed it. I could have
Yeah,
pushed it.
yeah, but I've done it so many times where I'm like, and this is what I tell, like, every now and then I'll have someone ask me when they're dealing with an injury, I'm like, "Listen, you gotta always, like, look as far out as possible
Right. It's
and
not
just
today.
yeah, because, like, taking a week off of stimulus on your quads is not gonna do anything to them. But
No.
blowing out your quad tendon and, like, causing a bunch of inflammation, now you can't train properly for 3 weeks. Like
Or subluxating your hip
exactly.
the
Yeah,
Sunday before Christmas.
right, so it's like, that's the one thing that it's even something that took me a long time to get to, so I try to impart that on the younger guys. I'm like,
Yeah.
don't look at this like, when they walk in like, "I'm ready to die on this working set." I'm like, first of all, like, let's calm down, and secondly, the goal should be progression, not death.
Right. Well, that like to summarize that whole thing, it's realizing that play the long game.
Yeah.
Like so I know that if you and I felt, man, I am so passionate about this. You and I fell in love with the idea of bodybuilding progression. We fell in love with progression.
Mhm.
And so for you and I, in our generation is what I'm saying, we wanted to build something.
Yeah.
And I think the contrast now is, instead of falling in love with the progression and building something, it's, I need to get here as fast as possible.
As fast as possible.
Whatever
Right.
that here is.
Right.
And because and interestingly enough, not to go down a rabbit hole, when you and I got off stage in 2016 at the Florida State Champs, I walked out to because I don't know if you remember backstage, I almost died.
No,
I
you did tell me something.
Yeah, almost, because so Boston and I,
Yeah.
Boston and I weren't working together, but Boston was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He was a good friend of mine. He was actually a good dude. Like, as a person, he was a good dude. The polarizing social media, that wasn't Boston.
Yeah.
So Boston had given this kid a diet, and I hired that kid to help me. Now, I didn't really need his help because I had an idea of how to get there at that point. But I hired him on just to be my second set of eyes, because you know how crazy we go 3 weeks out from a show. Well, he sends me the peak week protocol, and I look at it, and I immediately called Boston and said, "Hey, bro, have you coached this kid?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "This is your protocol. He just copy pasted it over to me. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I at that point, I was a week out, brain dead. Long and short of it, several diazide and no water for 36 hours later. That I was laying backstage, kidneys were probably shutting down.
Yeah.
And all I could think to do, like as an idiot, and I don't think you were there at the time, I was sitting beside some freak of nature black kid that won our class. All I could think to do was eat.
Yeah.
And like I'm so lucid at this point, I just start eating all the crap food that we had in our bags, you know, for carb up, no liquid at all.
Yeah.
And then so left after we got off stage, left. And keep in mind, I ate probably 4,000 calories worth of crap food backstage.
Yeah. Okay.
With no liquid. And I'm talking like Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah.
I had like this. Yeah. So it wasn't like I wasn't sitting back there like eating a Thanksgiving Day dinner.
Yeah.
But I consumed all these calories. Well, then as soon as we got out to the parking lot, then I started slamming Gatorades.
Yeah.
Talk about a rebound.
Yeah.
2 weeks, and within the first week, I was 45 pounds up. 2 weeks later, I was 66 pounds up.
Yeah.
And I was about to die.
Yeah.
It was really, really scary. But yeah, so the point I was making there though is I got off that stage that night and immediately realized, like we've been talking about here, there's levels to this.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know, I don't want to be a bodybuilder. Like I don't want to be a pro.
Yeah.
You know, I in other words, I love bodybuilding. And what I learned then was I love the journey. I love learning. I love experimenting.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing for 10 years.
Yeah.
I've been culminating data from Matt Jansen, my Skip Hill, my old coach, AJ Sims, you name it, all the top coaches over the past decade. I've just been John Jewett consuming the data,
Yeah.
disseminating it, distilling it down, and just falling in love with it.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of the sport. I think for me, I've always loved that aspect of it, but I've always had one goal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a journey that I'm on now. I've checked off the first part of it, which is I've just wanted to be on the Olympia stage once, right? I'll be 40 in May. I have no illusions of like
grandeur.
Yeah, it's just I want to do well enough to try to win a show as an open guy.
Yeah.
I'm also going to compete in Masters too at the pro
are
level.
you?
Yeah, like I think for me, I'm going to probably do open and the Masters, whatever shows that I end up doing for both of them. And then the end goal being, you know, I want to just try to get on the Olympia stage once and see if I'm good enough to do it. And at that point, I'll still bodybuilding, right? So I'll do it until as long as I can, but no more competitiveness.
Right, because it's like a means to what end, right? We're not, and that's what I realized when I got off. I was like, I'm not at the time who was good. I'm not Siddiq Hedzovic because we were competing in men's physique at the time. I'm like, I'm not Siddiq. Never gonna be Siddiq.
Yeah,
clearly don't, because I got 15th out of 16, but I was in the wrong height class. I was like 5'10" and 3/4.
Yeah,
and we were in the tall class, right?
Yeah. We were in the class. We should have been in the class before we were in the class after.
Right. And even when I checked in, the guy was like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "You should probably do the class below." I'm like, "No, I'm good." Cause I was peeled out of my gourd. And he's like, "Okay, whatever you want, dude." And here I'm standing beside this dude that's like 6'6".
Yeah.
And I'm like,
there's another guy was like 6'3", 6'4". I'm like, what is going on here? Right?
Yeah. Granted, no politics, right? Like they judge what they have on the day.
Yeah.
I was peeled out of my gourd, but at the same time, I was tiny in comparison. But realizing to the point we're making, it's like, I'm not going anywhere with this, genetically.
That's the other thing that I think I talk to a lot of people about, which is like the barrier to entry to get into bodybuilding is non-existent, right? Whereas like if I was to sit on this, if you and I were talking right now and I say to you, "Hey, Matt, I'm going to be in the NBA." You would be like, statistically speaking, dude, you got a better chance of walking outside of your house, getting shit on by a bird, hit by lightning, and by a truck at the exact same time, ever making it anywhere even near an NBA now, right? And it's very clear. Like I'm not 6'6". I'm not. I have any of these attributes since I was in high school. And in bodybuilding, it's like, well, anyone can go into the gym, start working out, which is awesome, which is excellent, right? But
Yeah.
for that same reason, they don't realize that, to your point, like I remember most of my time when I was in my 20s working out in gyms. And I have decent genetics, but I'm not going to go so far as to have the best. But like I
Yeah.
always used to hear people like, "Damn, you have great genetics. You should compete." Yeah, and this is again natty, never doing anything but just going into the gym, eating what I thought was a good diet. And you kind of hear that enough. You're like, okay, well, let me give this a shot. And
Yeah.
I've done okay. But then you have a lot of people where you can just like, but again, like I'm my harshest critic, right? So I can look in the
Right.
mirror and tell you that like at my age, if I'd sit and sat and told you like, hey, dude, I'm gonna be top 3 classic physique Olympia in the
I'm
next
going for
5
it.
years, you're gonna be like, yeah, like, but anyone can tell you that, but you got to have an honest conversation with yourself,
Right.
right? Oh,
It seems like, and I don't mean this to disparage the younger generation out there, but it seems like that for some reason they're not looking at it through an objective lens like that. It's very odd.
yeah, they're not, and it's like like the other thing that you and I are grown men, and
Mhm.
I remember back when I was, just in college and I was in my early 20s, mid 20s, whatever, I was like, hey, this is an expensive hobby. It's an expensive
Yes.
sport. Like, I need to make sure I have a good career, backup plan, and everything
Mhm.
else. Right. So that's what I did while I was just training in the gym and living the lifestyle. But I didn't care about competing at all. Granted, the
Right.
divisions didn't exist. But that's the one thing that, like, I think it's always a gripe that I've had with like the Gary V mentality. It's like, no, you should definitely have a plan in place and go be
You should be
smart.
figuring stuff out.
Yeah, you should be smart and like, listen, life is not free. If you want to ever like be in a sustainable relationship, that requires certain things to come
Yeah.
from you and your partner. And like, you can't just say, well, from 20 to 30, I'm just gonna go do whatever the hell that I want and I'll figure it out from 30 to 40 because you won't. I'll
Right.
introduce you to a bunch of those people, right? It's like, no, like the reason that most of the world follows this very specific trajectory of like how they go and do about things from an age perspective is because that's kind of the formula that works. Very few people are exempt from that, unless
Right.
you're some like phenom in either some sports arena or just a genius. You're not gonna
Yeah.
deviate from that too much. So
Yeah,
it's like,
the Elon Musks and the Christian Ronaldos of the world, right?
yeah, you know what I mean? So like, to the younger generation, it's like, I try to my goal always is like, listen, I'll never mind having a conversation with anybody and I will kick it to you real and just tell you
Yeah.
what I think. And it's like, listen, you're 18 years old, you want to bodybuild. Awesome. Eat, go to the gym and pursue something to like make sure that you're making money.
Right. Find a way to make money. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's funny that you say you phrased it that way so well. It's eat.
Yeah.
Like that's the way I explain to them. Like when they like talk about gear, talk about all the others. No, 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 no. Food,
Yeah.
good food. Let's
Yeah.
let's like they're like, well, what? The first question's not all right. Well, what's the cycle? No, no, no. The first question is let's get the food squared away. And guess what? We're going to get the food squared away for several weeks.
Yeah.
Like we're not doing anything other than standardizing your movement, meaning
Yeah.
you're like standardize your steps, your output. I'm going to
Yeah.
standardize your output. I'm going to standardize your food.
Yeah.
And then we're going to standardize your training as we see what the food does. And then once we have your food standardized, we have your output standardized, we have your training and execution standardized, and we run that for a while, and I'm talking like 6 months to a year
Yeah.
to see what it even does, then we might talk about hormones. Maybe.
Yeah. And
Maybe.
like, listen, you can do the runway is so individual depending on person, right? So it's like, you know, once you and I remember, so I worked with Matt Jansen for 2 years,
Yeah.
and that's where I made the
With actually with Jansen or with Camp
yeah.
Jansen?
No, no,
Okay.
I was with Matt Jansen. So I worked with him for 2 years, and that's when I made the push from men's physique to classic physique. And I'll be honest with you, the biggest takeaway I had while I was working with him was 2 things. I learned how to eat a
Mhm.
lot, and I learned how to train intensely and effectively. Those 2
Yes.
things, in my opinion, just based on, like, gave me the biggest means of progression because, like, gear is what it is, dude. Anyone can run some cycle, it is what it is, but the 2 greatest things that I learned from him was, like, wow, if you're eating a lot of good food and you are training as effectively as possible, that's the two biggest catalysts, all other variables
That's it.
being.
That's it. Yeah. Did you, not to make this about me, did you look at one? I don't know if you checked out my social media after we connected, but I have this transformation on there from like 22 or something, or no, and then last year, so
Yeah,
February of 25. That all that was, it wasn't gear. That
yeah,
was about replacement dose testosterone,
mhm,
a couple units of growth hormone,
mhm,
and then slowly, so I dieted the fat off because I was a bad 212. I was an ugly 212 at one point. Dieted the fat off to about 194,
mhm,
and I was okay. I mean, I wasn't lean by any stretch of imagination, but I was okay.
yeah,
And then slowly titrated calories up while standardizing my training, and completely changed my
yeah,
physique to the
yeah,
point now where my maintenance calories are double what they were when I was fat. And but like you said, you found out pretty quickly, oh, it's not about hormone. It's
yeah.
about food and training.
Which I was so happy to hear because I never cared about that aspect of it anyways, right? Like it's a
Right.
means.
I don't like it.
Yeah, yeah, same here. Like if you really are being real about that aspect of it, is like it's one of those things where like it is what it is, but it should not be like you're like this fascination that I see with it, like with these young guys, like, oh my god, I want to like the thing that I hear way too often, which like blows my mind, is I'm running this cycle because I'm bored.
Right. Oh, I'm changing it up. Or, or what do you think about this? Like this new thing, like like SLU PP 332,
Yeah,
and like,
yeah,
and what do you, it's going to be a game changer. So Dave Palumbo was my original mentor, like
okay,
going back 100 years.
yeah.
And it's funny because somebody asked him the other day, like, are we going to stop using the hormones to utilize these other compounds? And Dave's like, no, they're just going to add them to it.
That's exactly what they're doing right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but then again, like there's nothing new. Now I shouldn't say there's nothing new under the sun. There's really nothing new under the sun that is as efficacious as what we already are doing.
Well, and so I think what it is this, like from a muscle building perspective, there's no replacement for anabolic steroids.
Right.
And we've learned that through the nonsense experimentation people did with SARMs. Like they're not,
Right.
and they're giving you all the side effects without any of the actual positive.
Right. Yeah. Right. Gynecomastia in 2 weeks,
Yeah,
and then
you're like,
cystic acne.
yeah, you're still tearing up your heart to some degree. You're still having
Right.
liver issues. And then the things that I do think are
Blood
like
pressure.
effective are some of these like peptides, like MOTS-C,
Mm-hmm.
SLU, PP30, that retrotrutide for the people that are using it. These things are like phenomenal tools that
Yeah.
not only promote health, but also help like stabilize other aspects of things like insulin.
Yeah. They're great tools.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's no silver bullet. Like it's not, oh, this is going to change the game. Like
Yeah.
it's still going to be caloric deficit, caloric
Yeah.
surplus, and effective training.
Well, dude, and this is like the one other thing, like the point that you just made is really what a great takeaway. It's like get to a relatively lean state where you're insulin sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
learn how to eat effectively, train effectively, and if you're throwing in a small amount of like replacement dose or whatever you're doing, you're gonna make a decent amount of progress on that.
Right. Well, the thing is though, like for years, and even me, so like back in the day, I used to, but when Boston was still alive, I thought that like the experimentation was cooler than it was very polarizing to me.
Yeah.
So like I would just, you name it, I did it. I remember when I went, rest in peace, Jason Lowe.
Yeah.
He won his pro card the next day. He and I were at Dave Palumbo's Secrets of a Diet Guru course, and Dave and I were arguing in the class. Now, mind you, he was my mentor for like a decade before that, and we're arguing in the class, and I'm like, Dave, I was using clenbuterol, I was using ECA, so ephedrine, caffeine, aspirin. I was using T3 all at the same time when I was doing the Florida State Champs prep, and I was waking up. So to this day now, depending on what compounds I run, I get the paresthesia, like I get pins and needles all over.
Okay.
Like, my whole body.
Yeah.
It'll go away when I sweat. But back then I was getting it when I was running clenbuterol. I'm like, what is going on? So that's when I first started checking my fasting blood sugar.
Yeah.
Like 2016 is when I started it. I really started learning about blood pressure, blood sugar. And before then I was just like, oh, eat, take drugs, train.
Yes.
So then I checked my fasting blood sugar and it was 140.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
And then when I cut the clenbuterol out, and 2 days later I checked it again. The itching went away.
Yeah.
The paresthesia went away. And my blood sugar was back to normal. So when I went to that class, I said, Dave, how come clenbuterol causes hyperglycemia? And he and several other top coaches, Scooby Prep, I think Jason Theobald, a couple other guys I connected with back in the day, I'm like, why is this happening? And they all told me, oh, no, it's impossible. It doesn't work on those receptors. But then fast forward a couple years, and Dave puts out a video of, I'm seeing a lot of my guys that use clenbuterol at higher dosages are having hyperglycemia. So just it absolutely blew my mind. But to the point that I was making, they are tools that can be utilized.
Mhm.
However, ultimately, if you can get the most from the least. I mean, I'm just
Well,
gonna say
glad.
it's
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that because I think there's this weird. That's my philosophy as long as I've been competing, and like I'll even I've had coaches before, and like the one thing I'll give to like Matt Jansen, he gets like this weird. Regardless of like whatever even experience I have, like he gets this weird rap of like giving people these like massive doses. In my experience, not even close. He is not. He was never pushing anything hard. He was never pushing anything heavy. It was just basic stuff, dude. Like dude,
hey,
basic.
your connection's going out a little bit.
Dude, what did you miss?
You still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Your connection was going a little staticky. Microwave.
Oh, okay, dude. Could you still hear me?
I can hear you. It's just a little staticky.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll just say what I'll kind of recap what I was just saying. So like, even working with like Jansen, his philosophy was never like run the most, or at least not when I worked with him. It was like very moderate to like light stuff. And like, we're pushing food, we're pushing training. And like, this is just a small aspect of this part of it. And like, like I've made decent amount of progress in my opinion. And like, I'll see some of these like folks in the gym that run like 3 times of anything I've ever even seen before. And, they kind of just look skinny. Right. So it's like, obviously that's not the answer either.
Mm-hmm.
And then like we talked about, like, what are the things that I think contribute to the most growth? If you can do it, it's eating and training, right? And then
Right.
the other thing just kind of
Yeah.
help propel that.
Yeah. And that was, I kind of went off on a tirade earlier, but the thing that's fascinating is all like retatrutide, all of the thermo, whatever the heck they call them, not thermo, what the heck did they call those? Thermogenics, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
What, but I don't know what I know that the GLP-1 category, but then, all your fat burners, things of that nature. There's nothing, we don't have to, I feel like mostly we default to them. Like it's, as soon as we start, whether it's a bulking, we're off season, or whether it's cutting, or, contest prep, it's like, all right, so throw the baby out with the bathwater, start cardio, drop food, throw in your fat burners. And it's
Yeah,
like, why though?
yeah.
If you change
It's because
15 variables at one
yeah,
time, what's doing what?
yeah. And I think
And
to your
I
point,
think Matt worked. Sorry, I think Matt worked a lot from that perspective of get the most of the least. Let's change your food this
yeah,
week. Like, let's get you in a deficit first,
yeah,
and then we'll see what that does for a few weeks.
yeah. At least 2, right? At
Right.
least 4, right? Yeah,
And then from there, let's increase your steps. But I learned that from John Jewett a lot. It's like, why are we, just because you hit, like, we're going to start prep here in a couple months, whatever. But just be like, let's say we start prep April 1st.
yeah,
It doesn't mean on April 1st we drop the hammer on food, we increase steps and cardio, and throw in fat burners, and then increase the cycle. It's like, how do you know what's doing what?
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you, and I know, like, I've worked the longest with, Joe, not
Yeah.
longer than I worked with Matt Jansen, so those are my 2, like, longest runs with a coach, and
Yeah.
before that, I didn't really have a coach. But, like, even Joe, Joe is very I think one thing I liked about him a lot is, like, he's like me, he's detail-oriented, but it's like,
Mhm.
"Listen, if we run a particular plan on the off season, we change as few variables as possible to get a certain result that we're looking for,
Right.
and then we build on top of that, and then we
Right.
rinse and repeat, and, like, we save as many tools in our tool belt until we need them as humanly
Right.
possible. You don't just like to your point, it's like you can't start prep and say, "Now I'm going to boil the ocean today," right?
Right.
Because then you're like 2 weeks out and you're not where you need to be, and you're like, "Well, what do I do now? I'm already
Right.
eating
You run
nothing."
out of runway.
Yeah, like I'm already my output where cardio's through the roof. I'm getting 15,000 steps a day. My food's low. My training
Right.
sucks. I've introduced every single anabolic compound under the sun. I'm running all
Right.
these fat burners. What do I do
Yeah,
now?
your liver's screaming at you. You know,
Yeah,
your kidneys are just dying,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
pissing brown.
Right. And there's a lot of like I think a lot of like good coaches like Joe and some of these guys that I see and have had the pleasure to work with. These are the guys I think more people should listen to in terms of like how to do things
Mhm.
because they're very intentional. They're very scientific, and I hate to use that word, but like they're very like it's not just like, well, I want you to do this because either I did it or someone else told me to do it, and
Yeah.
that's why we're doing it.
Well,
It's like,
they're systematic about it. It's
yeah, they should be able to explain it, right? Like I want you to do this because of this, and this is
right.
going to be the result, and this is why.
Right. This is what we're looking for. We're gonna implement this change, and then we're gonna implement this change in the diet, the training, the output, maybe the supplementation, and then it's gonna elicit a response. But we're gonna look for that response. If we don't get that response, maybe we change something else.
Yeah.
But we're not just gonna make change for the sake of change.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like, the people that I've worked with some, like, pretty, like, in terms of me coaching people, I've coached some guys that have a great head on their shoulders, just there to work,
Yeah.
they ask the right questions, do what you tell them to do. Then you have, like, some people with week to week, it's like, "Okay, well, we're
What are we
seeing
doing
them."
this week?
Yeah, we're like, I just lost 4 pounds, what do I do now?" It's like, "No, dude,
Nothing.
we keep that riding for a little bit till we
Yeah.
see, like, the slowdown and there's a reason to make changes," right?
Right.
But it's just it's the world today, I guess, and Netflix, everything happens quick. Amazon Prime, Netflix, etc.
Yeah. Well, it kind of like that's like full circle back to what we're talking about with like the kids. Like you and I fell in love with the journey of it. Like we're like, okay, this is going to be a long road.
Yeah,
This is like it's like way off in the distance. There's a point where I might be able to have a physique that's worthy of the stage.
yeah,
But now it's like the how quickly the question is like how quickly can I get there?
yeah. Well, dude, I'm gonna take it a step further. I remember for the longest time, I didn't even know if I was worthy to wear a tank top to the gym.
Bro, yeah, you
Let
had to
alone
get permission.
Yeah, right, like, I needed to earn the ability to wear, like, a sleeveless,
Yeah.
or in my head, I didn't think I was getting roasted the moment I walked in there.
Right, and don't even think about wearing a stringer because
Yeah,
if you wore a
dude,
stringer and you
yeah.
weren't ready for it,
Well, I'm gonna fast forward to today. I am an IFBB pro. I walk into the gym and I see people just training shirtless, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna do that. And I
right?
actually, right now, I'm always like relatively lean. I could, but I'm like, I'm looking at some of these dudes. I'm like, if I were you, I would be like so embarrassed.
Yeah, like
But I mean, and on another note, I'm like, where do you get this confidence from? Because damn, I want some.
well, yeah, right. I know it's so, like false bravado. Well, but I think it goes like it sounds like we're beating them up, but we're not. It's comical, really, because I see him. Crunch Fitness is right across the street, so it's commercial gym, right? It's
Yeah,
not like a MI40 or what's Champs Elysium,
yeah,
the one Derek just opened.
yeah,
So it's bottom of the barrel, right? You know, and you get these kids over there 16, 17, 18, 19 years old in there, they've been training. Well, I shouldn't say they've been training for a very short time. They may have been training for several years now, but they just don't look it.
yeah.
Stringers,
Oh, I know.
flexing in between every single set.
Every set,
Like,
every
yeah,
set.
like, yeah. And, or you get, this is bad, bro. This gym is full of them. And I'm kind of bereft for good words at this point, but then you get like really, really fat kids in
Yeah.
there, like with the skinny kids all posing together. They go in the yoga room. You know, Crunch has like the yoga room.
Yeah.
Go in and they got their all got their tripods out, and they're like, I mean, gotta love them for the confidence, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just like, what is this?
Well, that's my thing. I've never understood it because my brain doesn't work that way. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm like, but when you add in the social media aspect of it, it makes a
Yeah.
little bit of sense because it's all
Right.
like, listen, I mean, if I grew up with that stuff, I would have some need for validation too.
Well, look at I agree with you. And that's why I'm not saying it's a negative. I'm
Yeah.
confused by it because
Yeah.
you and I didn't have that.
Yeah.
We
Well,
were yeah.
ask yourself this question. This is like a step outside of bodybuilding. I'm like, eventually some of these people are going to be the ones taking care of us when we're like elderly.
Right.
And what does that look like, right? Like,
Right.
what exactly does that look like? Because like there's just like such a difference in like, and they're young, right? So I'm not to say that they're
Yeah.
not going to
They're
grow.
they're going to mature,
Yeah, yeah.
but
But like,
like
what is that maturing going to look like, right? Like
right.
I know you have a son. I just recently, my son will be 6 weeks old tomorrow, actually,
Crazy,
and like,
bro.
yeah, the little guy's growing already, and like the thing that I think about constantly is like how do you prepare him to be a man
Right.
in the world, especially the challenges he's gonna face?
Do
Because they're
we
not.
prepare them the way we did?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
The world's gonna be different, dude. Like, I work in technology and like with AI and everything that's coming, like the world for him is gonna be completely different than what like I didn't get like phones were around when I was in early high school, but it
yeah.
was flip phones and stuff, right?
Yeah, like Nextel. Remember the old
Yeah,
Nextels we
yeah,
used to
that
get?
stuff, right? Yeah, and like the Blackberries came out and Palm OS came out when I was like a senior.
Yeah.
Right. So like I didn't grow up with any of that. These guys have
A magic wand in their hand.
yeah, something even better than that. They'll have the most incredible versions of like Chat GPT ever.
Right.
You
But
know?
it's like what will it not for because you and I could definitely go off on a tangent there. But it's like, what does education even look like at that point?
Right. Right. Well, and it's like, yeah, so to that point, it's like, I see some of them and to like, I'm not sure what part of the population we see in gyms. Obviously you see someone who wants to come and get in shape, right? Or
Yeah.
like who has some affinity to like grow
Has an
muscle.
aspiration to better themselves for some reason.
Some reason, right? And for that, I applaud anyone that walks in there. I work
Yeah.
out at a really cool gym in Jacksonville here called Iron House Gym. The owner's
Mhm.
awesome. It has like a lot of power lifters, bodybuilders, just and people just kind of living a lifestyle. And you see a really cool subset of people as opposed to like a regular commercial gym. But even here, you'll see like some of these goof troops that I like to call that just kind of come in there and like you said, like we did do the non-effective set of like a chest machine,
Right.
and then are flexing for longer than they just hit the machine
They're
for.
right. They pose more than they train, and
Yeah.
or they just stand around gaggle fucking for an hour.
And dude, I don't know what and I know we could talk forever, so I don't want to take up too much time. But
No, we're good.
I know the one thing that blows me away. So like, listen, I take great pride in posing, especially when I'm on stage, right?
Yes.
But the amount of people that I see having like a 45-minute ineffective workout, and then they spend another 45 minutes just posing in front of their phone. I'm like, what are we doing here? When did this become like, I remember when I first started getting into the gym, like we only cared about training. We didn't give a shit about posing, dude. Like not at
I
all.
I don't think yeah. Well, not only did we not give a shit about posing, there like the no social media thing. We weren't doing it for anybody other than
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Or maybe your training buddy, right? It's like you and your training buddy. That's about it.
Yeah, you had the camaraderie of but in the bodybuilding community was very, and it's a tight knit community now, I would say, amongst the top, but amongst the people that do it at a higher level, I should say.
Yeah.
But back then it was only your gym.
Yeah.
It was like, that's my, the old lifestyle fitness or whatever. They used to be pretty good gyms, but like,
Oh, yeah, I remember.
we
Yeah.
all train over here at the Lifestyles. It's got, dungeon style and you would have this guy that was like, he was Mr. Oregon. Like there was a guy here. He was Mr. Oregon at one point in time. And he, we all looked up to him. And then there was this other dude who was an old head bodybuilder from back. And it was just very, oh man, you all did it for each other
Yeah.
to kind of keep each other going.
It was like Grassroots, almost like a Grassroots
Yes.
movement, you know, like
Yeah.
like very, very visceral and like organic.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like I remember the bigger deal for me then and even now is like, when you build a physique that's kind of like worth looking at, what you get from that untangibly in everyday life, I think is so much cooler than like something on social media, right? It's like
Yeah.
because social media is so much smoke and mirrors. You don't really know, like how many people I see on there that like when you see them in person, you're like,
Yeah. You're like, oh man.
Y and Z, but with the filters and everything else, it's like
Well,
that's what.
I didn't even know it was you. Didn't even know.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
my biggest fear is like I would hate for someone to see me in the person and then like look at my social media like, oh, geez, man, like
Yeah.
you don't even look like you lift or whatever, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's
Well,
kind of
the funny thing is like, I always joke. I'm like, people will come up to me and they'll be like, oh, yeah, you coach, you bodybuild. Now, mind you, I kind of like going back to the impetus of this whole conversation. I do it to learn. That's why I do it. Like, and I'm only getting back on stage for you, bro. Like that's
yeah.
like I'm doing it because we're gonna do it. We're gonna do the damn thing. Ironically enough, the Hurricane was my first show. So if you decide to do that,
Yeah.
that was the first show I ever did.
Okay.
So but what the heck was I saying? I just went blank.
Coaching.
Oh yeah. So I'm like Santa Claus. So I tell people you hear about me, but you don't see me.
Yeah.
Like I don't post on social media. Some people know me because like oh, he helped me with this. He helped me with my diet. He helped me with some people I will give protocols for hormones if they know what they're doing. Like they'll come to me and they'll be like, I'm having issues with this. I'm taking this, and this, and I'm like, okay, you need to drop that. But I don't have a presence on social media because I've never done it for that.
Yeah. Same.
And I want to, whatever I post on there, like you'll notice I post every once in a while, but I want whatever I post on there to be organic.
Yeah.
Like this is who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's the one thing I'm glad that you mentioned that. The one thing I'm trying to stop doing is I set up my social media for strictly bodybuilding, and just with the crazy world we live in, I've had this conversation with my wife where like, it's hard not to focus on some of the things going on. And like for
and
a lot,
I know you're passionate about it, and I know it comes from a good place.
But the sad thing is I'm learning as well, like a little bit of it is me being reactive, which I know you and I spoke about
We
stoicism.
talked about it.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm actually learning to stop. I used to be like really 100% like that. And like now,
Like,
yeah, like, these are the things happening. Let me control what's within my hemisphere.
your 3-foot world, man.
Yeah. And that's all I'm going to impact anyways. Right. Like, and, put good into the world and hope it comes back to me. And that's about it. Right. Like, but and the one thing I'm trying to stop doing is like, I want to bring it back to just bodybuilding, even if it's just what I'm doing bodybuilding, and stop with this, like, cause this is another topic where like, dude, the world, if you kind of pay attention to some of the things going on politically and everything else, I was like, everyone is just going to hate everyone.
Yeah. We're all going to be at each other's throats.
I know. And like, and if you, and I always tell people like, when I go out and like, whether I'm at Publix or talking to my neighbor across the street, the overwhelming thing that I realize is like, we're all the same, dude. We all want to enjoy a good meal, like have a laugh, get a good night's sleep, and be heard. That's really it. And where are you going to get that? You're going to get that in your small little community. You're not, but if you pay attention to the wrong things, you're going to be angry about everything. There's always something to be angry about.
Yeah. So Dr. Wayne Dyer, and a mentor of mine, passed away many years ago. He always talks about how there's no such thing as justified resentments. And I've really carried that with me. Like, it doesn't matter what has happened to you in life. It sucks. Like, some people have had it really bad. Yeah. Really bad. Yeah. But there's no reason to carry it through the rest of your life, perpetuating it on.
No.
Like let it.
To your point, my wife knows my life story. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of tragic. But if you were to talk to me right now, like, I'm living a good life, right? And I was
no complaints.
No complaints. Like, things worked out great. And I was in the gym just a couple days ago, and I was listening to a conversation between like 3 people as they were talking to me. And I know I offended them, because basically what I ended up telling them was, because they were just saying like, oh, man, I got in this car accident and then I had to go through all of this. I'm like, maybe stop talking about it now.
Yeah, let it go.
It happened 4 years ago. Like, you're obviously doing fine now. You like learned from it. And just like how long are we going to keep reliving this thing that you're going to just stay in this depressive state?
Right. What you focus on expands. You're going to, it's going to follow you. It will, and it will be your, what was, I can't remember is it Charlie Brown, the kid that always had the wheelbarrow behind him. Anyway, Pigpen, I think was his name or something. But regardless, like you can carry it around with you if you want, but just put it down. You
Yeah.
don't have to. You can
You don't have
choose right now.
Exactly. You really, and you know, that old saying that you hear all the time is like, what you focus on becomes your life. It's true. And I'm like, I see it all the time. I'm like, you know, you're living in the greatest country on earth at
Yeah.
one of the best times technologically we've ever had. Like
Right.
the fact that we're even in the gym means that like you have the most means to get knowledge in regards to nutrition, training, whatever, right? And all you want to talk about and post about and like keep trying to get sympathy for, if that's what it is like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this happened to me. Something happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Varying degrees of like, you know, magnitudes of how bad it is depends from person to person. But dude, everybody goes through something, you know?
I
It's
don't
like,
know where I heard this quote. I'll give it to Chris Williamson.
yeah,
Could have been somebody else. But he said, you know, if we put 1,000 people in a room
yeah,
and we all threw our problems in the air, you'd probably try to catch yours before they hit the floor.
yeah. It's
Like,
like looking at it.
like you would, like you real, you know, the highlight reel. So because we were talking about social media, it's like, it is everyone's highlight reel. I want it to be organic. I want it to be original. And, and frankly, I don't compare anymore. Like when I see anything on social media, I'm just like, okay, Ray Dalio, the hedge fund, and I don't know if you've heard of Ray Dalio, hedge fund investor. He talks about how this is one of those. And so I see the highlight reel and I'm just like, it's one of those. I'm not gonna die on the comparison trap hill.
What's on there? Like she, and I don't want to use the word unfortunately because she would never coin it that way. But I was like,
Yeah,
unfortunately, you get to hear me rant all the time. And I was like, I
right.
really need to talk to like someone like,
Yeah,
you know, I'm gonna still talk to her, but like, I really need to talk to someone like you as well because we're on the same wavelength. And it's like, I'm sure
right,
we're thinking the same thoughts. There's probably
right.
plenty of people thinking these thoughts, right? Have these
Yeah,
conversations.
and they don't have an outlet.
Yeah,
Like they don't, and that's what I'm a huge student of personal growth and self-development, and and I know we've talked about it a little bit. I want to grow always and always. I
yeah,
want to, like, that's going back to the bodybuilding. Like, I just want to learn.
yeah,
I don't give I do not care about getting on stage, and I know, like, you know, we'll get there,
yeah.
but I don't care about it. I care about the journey. There's been, over the past 20 years roughly that I've been doing this, there's been several times where I started a prep, dieted all the way down, was probably within a stone's throw of getting on stage, a week, 2 weeks out,
Mhm.
and I was just like, all right, this is good. I'm good.
Yeah,
I don't want to do it.
yeah,
And then I just kind of moved on because I just love the process, the
yeah,
learning, the
yeah,
grind.
yeah,
I also love being very introspective when I'm in those modes, those diet
yeah,
modes, and like really trying to keep myself squared away and present.
yeah.
And that's the challenge I love about it.
So see, I love that part of it too, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that I want to get on stage and get some validation for the
Well,
hard work.
I do
Yeah,
want to, like, when you and I started talking about, when whatever shows we, end up deciding to do later in the year. I mean, obviously you're the pro and I'm the bro, but whatever show it is,
yeah. It'll be the hurricane, by the way. We'll do that one for sure.
okay. I didn't know if you'd announced it yet. I
Nah,
didn't.
but to
So,
just to you and whoever watches this, but
all right. Well, yeah, we've got 9 followers, but it'll
yeah,
probably grow as we go. And that's why I wanted to start this too with you, is because we talk about stuff other than just the noise that
yeah,
everybody else talks about.
yeah.
Because everybody's got their little niche. It's funny when talking about Joe, because I was talking to him about doing an episode a while back, and if he sees this, I hope he doesn't think that I'm bad mouthing him at all, because I'm not. But he was saying, like, well, no, you really got to talk about one thing. Like,
Absolutely.
and I'm like, no, I don't. Like, look at Chris Williamson. I know he keeps coming up, but it's like the dude talks to everyone.
If I've learned anything from life, it's like when you are yourself and you're doing something that you want to do, that's either going to take you somewhere or it's not. But if you're unauthentic to what you're I guess, purpose was from the beginning,
Right.
and you're trying to fit into some mold, you're never going to take it anywhere anyways. Right. And like, I've worked with, and again, not to comment on anybody, but like when I hear absolute statements too often from people, their credibility goes
Goes
out.
way down. Yeah.
'Cause I'm like, life is not in the absolutes.
No, nothing is absolute.
Right, right. So like, and even, you could, even when it comes to bodybuilding, there's so many things that we know now that were different 3 years ago, that were different 10 years ago, that so on and so forth, right? Like the basics are kind of there, but even those can shift. Things change. We
Mhm.
learn things, we move on from those sort of things. So like to give someone, and now if someone is, if someone who's wildly successful, like you brought up Elon Musk earlier, if Elon Musk sits
Yeah.
me down and said, "Hey, listen, dude, I attribute my first $1 billion to this," I'm going to have a listen.
Right, I'm gonna do this one. I did this one thing, and it got me there.
Right.
Okay, well, that goes back to what we talked about earlier. A smart man learns from his own mistakes. A
Yeah.
brilliant man learns from the mistakes of others.
Right. Right. And like, and again, now if someone out, like to the point of what you were just told, like you only got to talk about one thing, I was like, you better be Joe Rogan level popular for me to take that like super seriously.
Bro, you gave me goosebumps just now. The reason I started this was number one, because I wanted to have good conversations with good people. And I'd love to start, like, I want this to be a regular thing.
Yeah.
Like you and
Yeah.
and we can not titrate. My gosh, the word just left my brain. Regardless, iterate. We can iterate.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can iterate as we go. But I started this because of because Joe Rogan. I was watching his podcast, and the impetus for him to start. Do you know why he started?
Actually, no.
Okay, so he went on remember Tom Green from when we
Yeah.
were a kid?
Okay, I've heard him talk about this. Yeah, Tom Green
He
show.
went on Tom Green's podcast.
Yeah.
And learned what it was, but Tom Green's show, which was a podcast.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, yeah, you should just do it.
Yeah.
And Joe started his podcast, and they just did this. They just talked. Yeah. And that literally to this day, he doesn't have like an itinerary.
No, he
just just talks to whoever he wants to talk to.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. They think like there's this high production value. And no, literally every podcast Joe does is just, I wanted to talk to Matt, or I wanted to talk to whoever, and I got him on the show.
And now we're having a good conversation. I was just watching one of the guys that I've enjoyed that he's had on recently a couple of times is Russell Crowe. I love his movies.
Yes.
Such a fascinating dude. You know what I mean? And
Maximus.
Like, yeah.
I remember that episode.
And dude, the biggest takeaway, this is completely off topic, but like, as I'm watching that podcast, the thing that blows me away the most about that man is like, I don't know why, but like, he has one of the most incredible voices I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah, he definitely has I joke because I make prospecting calls a lot for my business. Yeah. I make like 400 calls a day. And I always joke because they think I'm a robot.
Yeah.
But I always joke and say, well, I've always been told I have a face for radio. Because I've got an okay voice on audibly on the phone. And but Russell Crowe, my God, you listen to his voice on the podcast, and like, I want him to read me to sleep at night.
That's what I was gonna say next. I don't care what the book is. I'm like, dude, I'd listen to you, because that's like, and I've always been fascinated with voices, just because, like the movie commentator voice and all these sort of things.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just
the Morgan Freemans, the James Earl Jones.
Like Mike Rowe. I don't know if you're familiar with
Mike Rowe's a great narrator.
Yeah, man. Like, you hear that, and who's the one guy that I love on the nature shows? Attenborough, forget his first name. David Attenborough.
I know who you're talking about.
The British guy. He doesn't really have a deep or anything. It's just very iconic, right? Like, it's just a British guy.
Well, and it's easy to listen to.
Yes.
You can listen to it. You want to listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It pulls you in.
Yeah, so that's, so to touch it back on what he said, I was like, I would never even do this to talk about one topic. I got too much going on in my head, as I know you do, right?
Yeah,
and like, the thing about bodybuilding is, like, there's things to talk about, but like, how many times are we going to talk about a particular compound, or a particular training split, or
I wouldn't do this if that's what this was going to be. I just wouldn't, because there's enough of them. There's a sea of turds of them.
Exactly.
Drugs, food, training, there's enough of them.
And I would not even ever go as far as to say I'm the most knowledgeable I know what works really well for me, the people
Mhm,
that I've coached and so on and so forth, the coaches I've worked with. I'm not gonna sit
mhm.
here and tell you that I'm like the most knowledgeable person on all of
No,
it.
I'm not going to. So Andrew Barry, ironically enough, highly intelligent dude,
Yeah.
likes to read studies, well read in that regard. And then the one other guy, what is his name? It'll come to me. But there's a few coaches out there that just they know their stuff.
Yeah.
Like they know the ins and outs of everything.
Yeah.
John Jewett. I'm sorry, I don't know why I blanked on John.
Yeah.
John knows everything about everything about everything.
Yeah.
The studies, all of it. I'm not him. I know a lot.
Yeah.
I
And I
am
don't wanna be him, you know?
no, I don't want that gift. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like,
That's
yeah,
like, I like I said, my number one my goals for bodybuilding are kind of live and die within me. I wanna compete at the pro level, try to get to the Olympia once. That's about it, man. If I can help people along the way and coach people to,
that's it.
that's phenomenal. I love doing that as well. And then, whatever small part I can play in the world and people I can talk to make their lives better, that's another.
Just that's it, bro. Just that I couldn't have said it better. My goal is to learn to grow to well, it's not my why statement. I have a why statement that's pretty deep. We won't go into it today.
Yeah.
But to learn to grow, to add value to others, because Jim Rohn, one of my it's Tony Robbins' mentors, but one of my I call him a shadow mentor.
Yeah.
Somebody I've never met, but I learned from.
Yeah.
Jim Rohn talks about how you're paid in direct proportion to the value you bring to the world.
Yeah.
So it's like I just want to be valuable to other people,
Yeah.
have a good time, right? And then if it makes your life better, my life better, my son's life better, other
Yeah.
people that I my 3 foot world, people that I touch, you know, great.
Yeah.
Because ultimately though, in 100 years, we're going to be lucky if our great grandkids even know our names.
Oh, absolutely, man.
You know?
And my son is named after my dad who passed away when I
Right.
was young.
Yeah.
And this is the haunting thing that comes to your mind the moment you have children, or the
Right.
moment you just get kind of like we're almost 40, which is
Yeah.
like I probably realistically speaking am halfway through my life. And I hope this is halfway and not less. But who is gonna remember me when I'm gone? Probably that kid, right?
Yeah. Him, maybe his kids.
Yeah, maybe his kids, right? But like, there's no the illusion of immortality of legacy is like, so the real benefit I think that we give to the world is like if I make him a good human being and I make
Yes.
in some small way people that I interact with good human beings, they don't need to know my name. My name is irrelevant.
No. Yeah, cuz it's like the not unteachable lessons, but it's like the quotes that you can't attribute to an author to
Yeah.
like their origin.
Yeah.
They're just truths.
Yeah. They just choose
They're
that everybody knows, right. There there
and
there's
it's
this
not going to matter what your name is.
yeah.
You brought that value. That's all that mattered.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna be one. I love watching movies. I'm gonna go back to. I don't know if you've seen Batman Begins, the
Yes.
Christian Bale. So I remember when Ra's al Ghul said to him, he's like, I'm gonna paraphrase it. He's like, the man is nothing. A man can be destroyed. A man can be ridiculed. A man can someone can tell you a man's a liar, and you might
Mhm.
believe them. But like an ideal lives forever.
Ah, yes. I know what part. I'm watching that tonight. I'm
Oh, dude,
watching it.
you know what? I might watch it again. I haven't seen it in a while, but like
But because I love that quote. That's so true. It's
yeah.
the idea,
Yeah. And even
the
when he
what
kind of like when he beats his ass a little bit, he's like, your training is nothing, dude. Your training is
Mhm.
nothing. Like you're so caught up in this myopic view of what this is. You're again, like even me going back to like my quad tendon and training session, it's like, don't miss the forest for the trees. Like
Yes.
and I think we've talked about this a long time ago. It's like you have to have a real precise control of your emotions to be able to
Mhm.
like feel it. Like I'll just give you an example. When I had to cut the workout short, I felt worthless. I felt
Mhm.
like,
Like a
uh,
failure. Like I don't deserve to be a pro.
yeah, exactly. And then I literally had to take a deep breath, sit down for a second, and said, "Let's objectively analyze this.
Mhm.
Can I proceed further? That's not smart. Okay,
Mhm.
what do we do then? Leave and rest and eat
Mhm.
and recover."
Right.
And next time you come in here, everything will be fine and you will have not made this worse, right? As opposed to just this like, and again, touching back on, the one thing that I try to leave to the younger guys that I talk to is like, don't don't act on your emotions. When a thought pops into your head, let it circulate a little bit before you go and post about it on social
Right.
media.
Let the first word be Jeffrey Fisher, who's a he's a trial attorney, but I love him because he teaches communication and I communicate for a living. He says, let the first word be your breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
that's it.
And the one lost skill as well is like, listen.
Two
Like
ears, one mouth.
when I'm listening to you right now, my brain is actually just in receiving mode.
Right.
And I'm only formulating a thought once you're done and I need to talk back to you. But I'm not
Right.
like
Don't listen to answer. Don't,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think those are just important things that I try to, just in my little experience in the world, I try to pass on to, I remember being a young man. I remember the lack of like direction that's out there and I see it now. Right. So I'm like, what, don't become the thing that you hated, which is like one of those people who were mean to you when you were younger. Like I remember when I started my bodybuilding journey, I was around some of the meanest assholes on earth. They just either told me I would never do it or didn't want to help me at all. I took that as like, well, I'm going to learn everything that I can. And it worked out pretty well. There's some things that I could have done differently at the beginning, but anyways, I try to now impart that knowledge on these young guys because what I always tell them is like, listen, if you're telling me that you want to be Mr. Olympia, believe me, I want you to be Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Because I would love to say 20 years from now, like
I coached, I helped Mr. Olympia when he got started.
Yeah. His first 6 months, I was with him. You know what I mean? And I'm going to be clapping for you the entire time. I'm not jealous of that, dude. Like you're 20 years younger than I am. What do I have to be jealous about? I'll be long done with this.
Right.
By the time you get to the place.
Bro, we got 5 more years if we're lucky. And I mean, we're going to be doing this for more than 5 years, but it's like, we've got 5 more productive years, right?
Competitively, right. And like, my wife met me as a bodybuilder and I've always told her, I was like, I've always known like, and I'll leave it on this. Like, when we're watching like great TV shows, the shows that are truly the best, and I always bring up an example, Breaking Bad, I don't know if you've seen it, are the ones that the story has already been predefined when season 1 was released. And they don't deviate from that.
Right.
And that show
there's not 20, there's not 36 seasons of it because they want to keep it going.
It got popular, right? And I think the same thing goes for like life, like set a plan in place and, you might have to adjust that as you go, depending on what happens, life happens. But like, be true to yourself. Like if you know, like, hey, I got a couple more years to be able to do this at a high level. And as time goes on, you're like, my legs don't respond anymore. This doesn't respond. Have an honest conversation and say, well, maybe this is not for me anymore.
Right.
And,
you can like, still have the passion.
Yeah.
But it's like, is it productive anymore?
Right. Like not everybody's going to be a Dexter Jackson. You know what I mean? Like go until they're 49.
Bro,
and I don't even know if he had to stop when he was 49. I think he just was done with it. But
yeah. So I got a funny story about Dexter Jackson real quick. Number one of my favorite bodybuilders of all time.
Yeah.
But so what got me hooked in bodybuilding? Dennis Wolf. I saw Dennis Wolf and in like 2000, mid to early 2000s when he was getting real big, like over 300 pounds in the off season. I saw that and I'm like, I got to get me some of that. Like I want to look like that. Second, I was going to compete at the Florida State Champs. You know Alfonso, the black pro. He's in Polk County.
Yes.
Tall, like bald. Just won his pro card a few years back.
Yeah.
Real big guy, like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah.
But anyway, the year he won the Florida State Champs, which was like 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember exactly. I was going to compete there. Something happened that derailed the prep, and I just got fat and ugly. Just one of those preps that crashed and burned, and I'm just like, all right, well, now I'm going to take one. There are some times when I come off, I'm just off. Like I'm 100% or nothing.
Yeah.
So we booked the hotel though. It's right there outside of Universal, the DoubleTree. Yeah. That's where Deke was doing it.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I are about to walk over to the park, and typically Dexter comes down for those shows because, he likes to promote his shows and stuff. So Dexter comes walking up out of the parking lot. We're walking out of the auditorium and I go, oh, cool. It's Dexter. And I just gave him a nod. you know, whatever, because he wouldn't remember me anyways. I haven't seen him in years.
Yeah.
And my wife is like 5'7" ish, 5'6",
Yeah.
5'7", and she goes, I didn't realize they were that short. Dexter's just a little dude,
Yeah,
you
he's a little
know?
guy. 5'6", I think, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, like
Yeah.
5'6", 5'7", if that,
Yeah.
like just but it was so funny because she'd never met like a pro,
Yeah.
like a good pro. And
Yeah.
Dexter was obviously one of the best, right? Like
Yeah,
Mr.
absolutely.
Olympia, you
Yeah.
know, '08. But yeah, she saw him. She's like, I didn't think he was that small. And then that was just walking by him.
Yeah.
Well, then the next morning, we're in the elevator together.
Yeah.
And then he's like even smaller to her. And she goes, well, he's in really good shape still. Because, you know, Dexter, he's big-ish for, let's put it this way, for a 50-something-year-old man,
Oh, yeah.
dude stacked.
He's still 200 something, I'm sure.
Yeah. But it was just funny. Her perspective on bodybuilding completely changed.
Yeah.
Like,
And you know, it's funny, my wife went through my current wife went through the same thing when she so the first bodybuilding show, if I'm not mistaken, and coincidentally, her mom bodybuilded before
oh, yeah?
years ago when we met. And actually, the funniest thing was, so she's showing me a picture from when her mom used to bodybuild back when she was like 17, 18, 19, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this picture and I'm like, I kind of like look like this, and I look back up at her and she goes, "What?" I'm like, "Do you know who she's standing next to?"
Oh, no. Who?
She's like, "No." It was Mike Menser before he became Mike Menser.
No kidding.
Mike Menser, dude, like when he was like 19.
Yeah.
Her mom dated him, right?
Nuh-uh.
And they had no idea. And then she like showed people the picture, holy, and like anyone who's familiar with weightlifting, we're like, holy shit, that's like Mike Menser before he like became who he was, right?
She still have the picture?
Yeah, yeah. I'll send it to you. It's on my. I
Yeah,
have it on my
yeah.
phone. But I
That's
like
freaking
looked at it, I'm like,
crazy.
holy damn! Like, you know, what a small world. She didn't even know who that was. Wow, where was I going with that?
I don't know. But we're talking about how your wife's mom was a bodybuilder.
Oh
And
yeah. So then to touch on that, the first time she actually went to a bodybuilding show is the Universe where I got my pro card.
oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and it was eye opening.
So that was her first show ever, first exposure to shows. Okay.
Yeah, first exposure to the show, New Jersey.
That's a big show to be exposed to.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, like she went there. She saw all the bodybuilders, you know, all the open guy. Well, not open, but like all the various weight divisions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your open class bodybuilders for
Yeah.
NPC level.
The light heavyweights, the heavyweights,
Yeah.
heavyweights, etc. You know, she's all the classic guys, the men's physique guys. And it's funny, she'll tell you this to this day. The class. She said classic was really, really competitive, but she goes, the class that like blew her away the most in terms of like being hard to judge because of how good everybody was men's physique.
Yeah.
She
Dude,
goes like the first 4 call outs, the dudes were so dialed. I don't even
they
know.
just look the same.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy thinking, I love how tangential we are tonight. Isn't it crazy how the class has changed since you and I did it?
Big time, dude.
Like if I look back to my first show, and
Yeah.
it was like it was just like normal bodied dudes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like just like this. Remember, I don't know if you ever saw the original like Jeremy Buendia men's physique
Right.
pictures and like Steve Cook, and they're just like normal looking dudes.
Yeah.
Like me right now in the off season,
Yeah.
I look like they did essentially.
Yeah.
You know, except I'm except bigger, right? But and now you look at it and like they're bodybuilders. They're bodybuilders.
like, you know, Brandon Hendrickson.
Yeah.
I love Ryan Terry. Ryan Terry is an amazing dude, and I'm so glad he's winning. But like, you look at like a Brian Hendrickson and some of these other guys like Ben, his last name starts with a Q. I can't remember what it is. But you know, just like big dudes, man. Big
Yeah.
dude, well built, incredible backs, incredible shoulders, incredible chests, incredible cores. And some of them, like Hendrickson, for instance, like great set of legs.
Yeah. Yeah.
A guy that used to train so when I was in Orlando, I trained at Kissimmee Muscle, and a guy that I used to see in there all the time was a former men's physique pro who was like at the Olympia level. Carlos, his Instagram name is Kaiki. I forget I think his last name is D'Olivencia. And
Okay.
he switched over to classic recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, those do, and even Carlos, you know, I saw Carlos every day. The guy was huge,
Yeah.
huge, you know.
So what was your at being at the Universe? What was your wife's take on that?
I'm going to just tell you honestly what she told me. She was very unimpressed with the bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, listen, I've done that show 3 times until I went pro. The first, like, the bodybuilding class sometimes is exceptional and sometimes, like, not so
Yeah.
great. It just
Well, it's
depends
because
where,
it's
but
the universe. You're getting a lot of older guys up
you're getting
there,
a lot of
you
older
know?
guys. Exactly. Whereas, like,
Yeah.
classic is stacked. Men's physique
Yeah.
is stacked. And those are just hard divisions anyways, because, a lot more people are doing them. A lot of younger guys are doing them. I did open and 35 and older. No, what 35 to 40 is I
Yeah.
did 35 masters
You
division as
did the
well.
youngest masters class.
Yeah, youngest masters class, and I did
Yeah.
open, and it's like, everybody's on their game, man. Like no one's coming
What
there
did
to
you place in open?
5th.
Okay. So first call out.
Yeah, first call out, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know how those shows work sometimes because I was like, I won my class in 35 to get the pro card, and I thought realistically, I thought I should have been, just by looking at the pictures, like 3rd or 2nd in open. Now here's the funniest story. Here's the funniest story. So when I decided to do the universe that year, I had already decided before with Joe. I was like, we're gonna come back and do this again because I missed it by one spot the year
One
before.
placing.
Yeah. And then my buddy, this guy that I know in Orlando, Brazilian guy, Arthur, dude, I've been telling him, he's like a 25-year-old guy. I've been telling him the entire time. I was like, brother, the moment you hit a national stage, you're gonna go pro. I promise you that.
Yeah. He's just got
And
he was built for it.
he was built for it. So he does his first national show. Him and I are in the same open class, gets his first place. Both of us went pro on the same day, and another one of his friends came from Orlando. So, 3 guys from Orlando ended up taking it home that day. But
Dude, Orlando's stacked with talent, bro.
yeah,
Still to this day.
to this day, to this day.
I remember going back when you and I met. I used to go up there for Keller Williams, the brokerage
Yeah,
classes,
yeah,
because there's a brokerage there. We're the regional director's office there, so we'd go there for classes. Well, I would go train at the old LA Fitness off of
Kirkman,
right over the overpass, Kirkman,
yeah,
and they'd have some old school equipment in there,
yeah,
and there'd be the women's pros in
yeah,
there that
yeah.
made me look like a fool.
Natalia, who's a Miss Olympia, trains out of Orlando.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know where
She's in
I
LA
don't know where she.
Fitness in Winter Garden.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, but who was it? Fernan
Bailey, yeah, great
Yeah,
guy.
so
Yeah.
yeah, he used to train over there at the Kirkman, LA. Well, I'm sure he bounced around a lot.
He goes all over he's at Iron Religion sometimes. I forget where he lives now. Furlan's a great dude. I've seen him so many times. I've been out of Orlando for the last 2 years, but I grew up there. And like, for instance, like I remember in 2020, in the height of COVID, when all the gyms were closed, there's this one little hole in the wall spot that we found in Pine Hills, which is like a rough part of Orlando.
Yeah.
And right when I walk in there, who's one of the other people I see, Natalia,
Yeah.
is the dedicated, right?
Yeah.
We all found the one open gym. There's like 6 of us.
Where there's a way.
Yeah, yeah. And we kept it real quiet because we didn't want that place to get shut down. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Small world.
Did Orlando? Because I know, full disclaimer, I don't care who anybody, like, set the precedence for our podcast moving forward. I don't care who people sleep with, vote for, pray to. Doesn't matter to me. Orlando's pretty liberal.
Pretty liberal, yeah.
Did you all stay locked down longer there than?
No.
No, you guys. So once DeSantis was like, "Hey,
yeah, open back up."
Okay.
Because it was a good time to be in. It was a good time to be in Florida, if I'm being honest.
Oh yeah. Frankly, yeah. It was.
Now, I would be interesting to know. My wife moved to Jacksonville from Tennessee a couple of years ago, and that's where I met her. I'd be curious. Jacksonville is very liberal, so I'd be curious to see what happened here, because this is like blue. Okay. I guarantee this place maybe stayed closed down longer because it's a very democratic city.
Yeah, you see, I noticed a little bit in like St. Pete, because St. Pete's very liberal.
Yeah.
Tampa, liberal. Manatee, Sarasota, where I'm at.
Yeah.
Completely conservative.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remember what gym we were able to go. We were able to go back to a gym pretty quick.
Okay.
After March. I can't remember exactly the date, but I do know that when the gyms opened up, the commercial gyms, they were doing all the weird crap. Equipment was like spaced 100 feet apart. You could only walk this direction. The saunas were closed down. So Ashley, my wife, and I, we just started training at Crunch, because Crunch, they opened up full bore, like, Jesus take the wheel kind of thing. But then we're like, oh, you got to make sure that you carry your rag with you and spray this down. They were really big about that. But otherwise, saunas were ripping, 1,000. it's funny because, the whole no contact, or, what did they call it back then? I don't even remember. The
Social
spacing.
distancing?
Social distancing. I forgot even what it was called.
Yeah.
The social distancing thing, that you could throw that out the window immediately. There were 1,000 people.
Oh, damn. Okay.
In every crunch, because crunch was one of the only ones that was allowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Orlando was
Yeah.
a little bit like that. I think some places opened up and some didn't. So like the places that did just got like overwhelmed.
Right. That's why it was. Yeah.
That'd be a good topic to talk about at some point. Though it's probably been talked about many times, like the life during and after, and like when's the world going to be the same again, right? So
yeah. Well, and it's funny that you said that, because we can topic these if you want.
yeah.
But it's funny how far in the past that seems now.
I know, dude. It's literally 6 years ago.
And the reason I'm saying it is because think about it now. If they tried to do that now, I don't think it could happen.
We would have a civil war if they tried.
Right. I don't think that at the moment it was the scariest thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't concerned for my health. Actually, I was probably patient 0, frankly. But at the moment, it was like, oh God, the world's going to end. Not from a health perspective.
Yeah.
It just felt like everything was going to crumble. The system as we knew it.
Yeah.
And then coming out of it now, we're like, oh, that was nothing. So if obviously it's very sad that people lost their lives, and it was real, there was a demographic that it hurt the most, right? But now if something like that happened again,
no one would care. No one would care.
Yeah, it would just be like, oh, okay, it's one of these.
It would be, and eventually I got to go help her soon, but it would be like what's happening with everything right now. You would have a polarized section that was very concerned. The world needs to stop. Everyone needs to go home.
Right.
You'd have the other side where I don't give a damn if you will come tell me what to do. I'm going to blow your brains out.
Yeah, and that's where they would kind of clash in the middle.
But,
all right, so we'll wrap it up. One more question. So you're doing the hurricane, and are you doing anything else?
Yeah, so I'm going to do this. So this is how I'm planning it, right? The Daytona Pro is I think 3 weeks before the hurricane, but it's masters only. So I'll hit that at 40, masters 40. And that'll be my first feel at the pro level. And then from there, the one that I'm going to really really try to give my all to is the hurricane, because I'm going to do open and 40.
When's the Olympia this year?
Where is it?
No, when is it? Did they get it back to September this year? I think they got.
Since September.
Okay, so when is Daytona?
Daytona is in the beginning of September. Hold on, actually, hang on. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah. Let's look it up, because I don't know when the cutoff's going to be. Because they've been trying to get it back to September, and they're going back to Las Vegas this year.
In New Orleans. They're back in New Orleans.
But I heard murmurs that they were trying to get it back to Orlando again.
I heard eventually it was going to come back here, and a lot of the athletes wanted that, but for whatever reason it didn't.
I would love it, bro. I freaking loved it when it was here.
Same here. It was right in my backyard. Right.
Yeah, right.
Where's the Daytona? Daytona. Yeah, so the Daytona Pro is September 26th. Olympia's that same week.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah. Which is fine. So the Daytona only has Masters 40, 50, 60. That only qualifies you for the Masters Olympia. So to get
only Masters?
Yeah. Yeah, which has been in Japan. And then I want to, my goal is set to try to get
the Olympia.
The Olympia. And then the Hurricane is October 16th to the 17th. And that one I want to do open
and Masters, and then qualify for 27.
Qualify for 27. If God, I'll tell you right now, man, I'm very realistic. If I can get top 10, I will be through the moon, and I'll know I have some work to do, and I'll come back from that. Even if I got like 12th place, I'd be super happy. I like to set there's some of the guys that I competed against when I got my pro card have like gone as high as 6th. And so one of them just got stirred at a show in Chicago.
And you beat them, essentially. You did beat them because you got your pro card.
or I got beat, or like the year that I got second place and I didn't get my pro card, the guy that beat me has done pretty well at the pro level the 2 times he's competed. So, but again, sites I'm saying top 10, that would be sweet. And then, I can adjust from there, put some more size on and come back and try again.
What's your not I hate when people do the whole the metrics thing, but what's your weight at right now?
So right now I'm sitting at about 218.
And what's your cutoff?
Dude, my cutoff I think is 220.
You're good then.
Yeah, and like I've always been that guy that is well under the cutoff. I like so, like in the open class at the universe, the guys that I was going toe to toe with were 20 pounds heavier than I was, and I was hanging with.
Well, so if I remember correctly, you're pretty wide.
And I'm a small bone structure guy, so I got a small weight. My waist by the time I get to show ready is like 27, and that's at about 5. So it's like
I just remember. I remember because I still have our pictures from the show. I just remember you being a mile wide and like huge flaring lats.
Lats and delts give me that good illusion.
Right.
And knock on wood, I've always had decent legs. So it's like the thing that I've been working on, which I think I've done some good work, is like need to bring my chest up. So when when I start dieting down, it's the first thing that flattens out, and I finally put some good mass there. And then lower lats I've been working on. So those 2 things I think I've done. Me and Joe have taken an entire year off to just grow.
Yeah.
And I'm 218 for me at like a decent condition right now is massive. So,
you look in all of your posts, you're relative, like you look like you're in prep for what most guys prep condition would be.
That's the one compliment I received from Joe that always kind of like touches me, which he's like, dude, because at one time I remember I was asking him, I was like, why don't you ever implement like MOTS-C or any of these things with me? He's like, you don't need it. You always stay so lean. You're obviously insulin sensitive. Like like, dude, like at one point we're pushing like 1,000 carbs a day, et cetera, et cetera. He's like, you're pushing all this food and staying that tight.
Are you ecto?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like,
I only knew you when you were bigger, like when we had muscle.
Yeah.
So
my first day in the gym when I was a young kid, 145 pounds soaking wet.
Just like me.
Yeah. Just a real skinny dude, but can put on relatively decent muscle. So I'm thankful for that. But I have to eat a lot of food to do it, which sucks.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, your off-season diet. You're probably having to shovel it.
Shovel it, dude.
And dense, density like John Jewett talks about, like dates and raisins and.
We're eating mostly bodybuilding food, but like even Joe with me, he's like, dude, on certain days we're throwing in juice to get those extra carbs. We're throwing in like rice cakes, etc. Like we need to get the food in, right? So like at a certain point, you can only.
Are you doing intra?
Yeah.
I was gonna say
that for a minimum for me is a minimum of 50 grams of carbs.
Yeah, well, and your peri-workout nutrition, I'm guessing it's probably pretty dense pre, post, and intra just to get the calories in.
Yeah, so even right now, I think my pre-workout meal is about 150 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
Intra shake is 50. Post is 200.
Okay, yeah. And then any exogenous insulin?
Not at the moment.
No, okay. Yeah. So so you maintain pretty good sensitivity, brother.
Somehow, honestly, like I don't know. Maybe it's just the skinny guy in me that maintains that, and just working with Joe, he keeps a pretty good eye on you. Like we haven't had to do a lot of pullbacks, but we have every now and then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's good just for gastric emptying purposes, like gut motility.
Yeah. And, dude, and if nothing, that plus the mental. But just to give you some semblance, like the off season, anyone who's really done an off season, like this, it's
like a proper,
yeah, you are tired, fatigued, sleepy. Mm-hmm. You're like a shell of a human being. It's a whole different thing from prep.
Yeah, I've got 2 meals that I've got to go tuck into after this, and it's like I eat the last one, and then I got to do. I obviously wait a little while, and then I take my before bed supplements, and which includes growth and my gut is like sticking out and and I'm like and the food's just sitting there.
It's sitting there. Yeah. But if that's how you grow. Like
but I could go down anyway. But all right, brother. Well, what else you got going on the rest of the week?
Not much, man. We can either do this every Saturday
Yeah, I'd love to. It actually works. If we do it Saturday night, it'd be
Yeah,
perfect
let's do
because
it.
we could just jump on and just shoot the shit
This is a
after.
great time for me too, because like with the kid now, like we're at home at this time anyways. My wife is putting him down. You know, now I'll go kind of make sure she's all right once we're done. But like this if this is the time that we lock in, 100% works for me. I'm
Oh,
always
brother,
down.
I
I'm
love
always
it.
available.
Well, then we'll chat more offline and if we want to avoid getting I like getting tangential though. I like
Right.
just
And
chatting.
we can probably set some topics and then see where it goes.
Yeah, and we we'll post more on social about
Yeah.
it and cuz the funny thing is I when I first started posting that I was going to do this and I
Mhm,
recorded a few like mindset episodes, like if
mhm.
you look at the channel that I posted on, there's a couple mindset episodes in there. It People were like, "Oh, when are you going to put another one out?"
Yeah.
Like because I wasn't getting the subscribers, but the people that the people that were subscribed were
Yeah.
sending their family members and friends there to watch the episodes.
Gotcha.
And I was just like, "Oh, well, I don't know when I'm going to do it." So
Dude,
now we can.
I don't know if it's an age thing, but all I watch lately is like podcasts and videos on YouTube. So I know
That's it.
I'm a consumer of the content.
Right.
And so like I know it's where a lot of people come these days. Like the TV is kind of bland. How many shows can you watch? So I spend most of my time watching things on YouTube these days.
Yeah,
My best subscription is my YouTube premium subscription. It's the
yeah,
one.
I've got right, exactly. I know. I've got my YouTube premium subscription for my business channel. That's
Yeah.
all I watch. Just
Yeah.
podcasts podcasts and like history
Same.
stuff on
And I
history.
watch a lot of comedy. I'll be honest. I watch a lot of comedy on there too.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah.
Do you know Dusty Slay?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we're having
Yeah.
a good time.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Well,
All
hey,
right, brother.
go take care of the family. I will we'll chat offline and we'll get it set up for next week.
Sounds great, man. Have a good rest
Awesome
of your day.
connecting with you again.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. All right, brother.
See you, brother.
All right. Bye.